Welcome to the cover reveal of Endman by Alex Austin. Hey, Alex, thanks for joining us for this exciting event.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, well, we love having you. And why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. I was born in New Jersey, and I grew up on the Jersey Shore, and where I spent much of my childhood underwater. Um, it's marshland. It's below sea
Gotcha.
level, and my
Gotcha.
house
Like
was
Houston.
yes, my house was surrounded by marshland, and it would flood several times a year. But I like the water. I like the bay. I like the creeks. So that's I kind of lived in that watery environment. That and up in trees too. I spent a lot of time in trees. Um, so anyway, after coming up for air, I did a tour in the U.S. Navy, and this is all we're short circuiting all this. But that done, I moved to California and attended UCLA,
Mhm,
where I got a BA in history. But
mhm,
by then, my interest had turned to less academic writing, both in fiction and nonfiction. Now, I'd always been an obsessive reader.
mhm.
First comic books, then short
Same.
stories and novels.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm,
but I didn't pen much. I read, but I didn't write. But in the service, I enjoyed writing letters to family, buddies, and girlfriends, and I like riffing off my environment, the setting and the people around me, and
mhm,
using some detail that I hope would surprise or amuse my correspondents, and perhaps making them laugh. And I was fairly successful at it, and so that gave me some confidence, and in my ability to write something at least close to entertaining. So, I mean, basically, I like making stuff up. So while I was reading Heutzinger's The Waning of the Middle Ages for my degree, I peddled
Light reading. Light
light
reading.
reading. I peddled satire to kind of alternate weeklies and and school newspapers, etc. Wherever I could find someone who would accept the stuff.
Mhm,
And so I
mhm,
also took a few creative writing classes at that time and started working at legitimate short fiction. And after many, many rejections, a little literary magazine accepted one, and I was hooked, and then off I
mhm,
went. And then it was that long road of being a writer and getting used to
mhm.
rejection.
Oh, yeah, that's
But
part of the gig.
once in a while, a little bit of success.
Well, we're glad that you have found success with us because we love your book.
And
So
I'm,
let's talk about Endman a little.
okay.
We'll
Do you
start with
want me
the
to? Do you want me to read the excerpt?
no, we're going to leave that till last because that's the cool part. What I would
Okay,
like
then
to do
okay.
is
You,
read the back cover copy so people have kind of an idea of what this book is, what they're going to get from it.
all right.
So, once your life is diluted to ones and zeros on the end man's desk, it's over. Or is it? Afflicted with dramophobia, the fear of crossing streets, 26-year-old Raphael Lennon must live out his life within the four thoroughfares that border his Los Angeles neighborhood. Luckily, he found a fulfilling job within this space as an end man at Norval Portals, where Raphael is the best possum hunter in the company. He hunts the dead who live, people hiding under the guise of death. He doesn't want to bring these possums to justice, but to keep them out of his firm's necrology database so their presence doesn't crash the whole system. When the company founder assigns Raphael a fresh case, he sets aside all other work to investigate Jason Clace, a maverick physicist with boundary pushing theories that may have attracted unwanted and sinister attention. Raphael soon discovers messages sent by Clace after his supposed death, threats to people who have subsequently died. As he digs deeper, he receives his own message from Clace, a baffling command to pursue the truth. As he unravels the mystery, he unearths the secrets of his own phobia plagued life and the inner workings of Norval, whose corporate ambitions include a nightmare spin off of its products. Raphael must stop them, or he'll never be free, and neither will anyone else. Ooh, so
Well,
exciting!
well read. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you. No, this, I'm so excited. It's different than anything we've published so far.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very much excited for these techno thriller fans to get their teeth into this because once you start reading this book, you can't stop. It's pretty impressive.
Well, thank
Um,
you very much. And
Absolutely.
it's a techno thriller, right?
Yes, yes,
Yes. Okay.
definitely techno thriller. Yep. Yep.
All right.
So it's wonderful. And let's not torment people any longer and let's look at that cover. Let's see it. Let's see it.
Reveal.
Reveal the magic cover. He has to tell me when he does it. Oh my gosh. It's beautiful. Look at that. Look at those purples. Purple happens to be my favorite color. So when she came up with that, I was thrilled. And you get the whole techno thriller vibe. So on the cover, no big surprise, is Raphael Lenin. Can you tell us a little bit about him?
Okay, Raphael is a 26-year-old, and he's a skateboarder,
Mhm.
and he works kind of as an IT guy for a company called Nerval. Now, Raphael has a phobia, and it's a peculiar phobia. All right, it's called dromophobia, which means fear of crossing streets. But Raphael is not afraid of crossing all streets, only four particular streets. And the streets are in kind of central Los Angeles, and I'll name them: Wilshire, very famous; Fairfax, also very famous; Beverly, also very famous; and La Brea, which is a little bit less famous, but still it's four streets.
Mhm.
Now, as it turns out, these streets all intersect. All right. Two of the streets meet at at a southwest corner, etc.
Mhm.
So he is bound within these four streets. He cannot cross out. He cannot pass any of these streets, and so he's caught in basically a rectangle of
Mhm.
approximately 1 square mile. Um, and this rectangle is in an area that was once called the Miracle Mile of Los Angeles. It's a neighborhood.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. Um, it's an interesting neighborhood, though. It's
Mhm.
not barren. In
Mhm.
there are things like the County Art Museum. There's the La Brea Tar Pits. And by the way, La Brea, that means tar in Spanish. There's also the farmer's market, all right, which has been there a long, long time. And it's although it can be, I mean, the name is a little bit deceiving. It's actually this. It's like a block long, maybe 2 block long um, building that holds hundreds and hundreds of restaurants and little gift stores and little bars. And there's a karaoke bar. And it's kind of for tourists, but the neighbors love it too. Okay, so Raphael's though is stuck in this this square mile, and he
Mhm.
can't get out. To go a little bit deeper, all right, each of the streets, when he sees the street, in his mind, he sees it in a certain way.
Mhm.
And Wilshire, for instance, it becomes this incredible wind, all right, that blows him back. So he can't cross the street, all right, the wind blows him back. Fairfax turns into a canyon. And so he looks down there and he gets dizzy. He's going to fall in. La Brea is a glacier. A glacier suddenly rises up in front of him. And Beverly is fire. These jets of fire come up out of the street. So he does not go out of these, past these four streets. All right.
Yep. No, that's
Um,
great. Well, let me see for this one. So this poor guy is stuck in here.
he's
And so
stuck.
part of the story is about him escaping, whether he can or can't, and whether he has enough motivation to do it or not, and why he's stuck. For him, it's a reality that he's stuck.
Right.
And by
No,
the way, you write that beautifully because the way he actually experiences the wind, I mean, it actually blows him back. And we all know it's not there. He even knows it's not there,
right.
yet he experiences it. It's beautifully, beautifully well written for anyone who has these severe phobias like that.
Yeah.
So it's incredible. But so he's stuck, but he has a computer job. Overall he's fine. Like it's not like he's homeless. He has a thing that he can do. And he skateboards everywhere. Why did you choose for him to skateboard?
Okay. I suppose it's that um, I there's multiple reasons, but one is that I know someone who has a phobia, and he also skateboards a little. So
Ah, okay.
so I thought, okay, I'll give him a skateboard. Um, Also, there's aspects of skateboarding that um, that tie in to kind of the central mystery, and
Hmm.
and the science that's involved with the central mystery. That I don't want to go into it too much. It just occurred to me that I've given you a lot of detail that I'm going to be reading from the excerpt about Raphael. But as you said,
Oh.
yes, he he works for the company Norval,
Hmm.
and it happens to be its headquarters happen to be within that square mile. So it's very convenient.
Hmm.
Um, and it's a it's a strange kind of a job
Hmm.
in that Norval kind of compiles the data of the dead, um, so that they can end up selling it kind of through portals that people go to see their past loved ones, etc. And
Hmm.
advertisers put their advertisements because there's that traffic. There's eyes that are looking at this data. Um, and as you mentioned, he's a possum hunter. And what that means is that this database has to be kept pure. It has to be only the dead in the Norval database. Now, occasionally someone fakes their death, right? And
Hmm.
if that person who is faking their death gets into the Norval database of the dead, all right, it can crash the whole system. So Raphael has worked himself up in the company to what they call a possum hunter. And that means he tracks down these people who, you know, in the newspapers it may say they're dead, but Norval is not sure they're dead. So his job is to track down these people and find out if they're really dead or they're just faking it.
And I
Right?
love that because they're not doing it to turn them in. They're not doing it to tell insurance companies. They're doing it for their own reasons, not to crash the system. So they need
Right.
it clean. So I love that very clever reasoning. And at least that's what we're told. So
At
it's
least that's what
so
we're
much
told.
fun.
Right.
At least that's what we're told.
Right.
Read to find out more.
Right.
But that's incredible. But I don't think we should torture them anymore. And I think we should get right into the story. And as always, we like to do at Curse Dragon Ship Publishing. You can read the beginning of the story on Amazon, right? They've got it up there. So we've picked out another choice bit for you to read. So, Alex, what have you decided to read for the audience today?
Okay, and I apologize because it's actually going to cover some of the ground I covered when I was discussing Raphael. But this is kind of a character sketch of Raphael and his phobia. All right, and a few more aspects of his life, but his phobia, how he reacts to it, what he's trying to do about it. It goes into a little bit in depth in terms of that phobia. All right, so this scene to set it up. So he's returning home after a long day of compiling death, and Raphael continued down Fairfax and crossed Sixth, one of the benign streets within his malignant floor. On the opposite side of Fairfax, a dozen people stood in front of Nevin O'Moore's, an Irish pub with enough character to have kept it operating for a half century. Rock and roll poured out the open door. He stopped to listen to a song about falling, rocking to the music's beat. He loved the old music and yearned to walk into Nevin O'Moore's, if it wasn't on the forbidden side of Fairfax. He gazed out at the street, a flat concrete Grand Canyon of unlimited depth. If he skated over the curb, the canyon's black tongue would wrap about and swallow him as a frog would a fly. It mattered little if 2-ton vehicles raced along its concrete bed or pedestrians crossed at every corner. Sometimes he teased himself by pretending he might just. What do you have to lose, Rafi? Take a step, do it, do it. He lifted a foot and peeked over the curb into the depths of the canyon. His heart leapt into his throat. Dizzy and disoriented, he teetered like a baby taking its first step. Get back, he screamed to himself and stumbled backward. Breathe, breathe. The brain that knew the canyon was an illusion shrunk from the brain that shouted the gaping darkness was real. He stood in the center of the concrete square, trembling. For 20 years, the phobia had confined him to the area enclosed by the intersection of 4 venerable Los Angeles thoroughfares: Fairfax, Wilshire, La Brea, and Beverly. Roughly a rectangle, the shape of a phone, a monitor, a streaming screen, by his calculation, the area of a square mile. His mother had tried every therapy to rid Raphael of his terror, which had leaped upon him like a panther from a tree. One day a strong gust of wind, the next week a gale, one day a crack in the street, the next day a chasm, until the four thoroughfares became treacherous and impassable, though the streets within his rectangle he could traverse and skate to his heart's content. Cognitive behavioral therapy gradually exposes you to your fear, so you become desensitized to it. Raphael's mother had consulted one doctor who showed Rafi photos of the streets, each photo a further close-up. Then it was mindfulness therapy, super awareness of the surrounding world. Get him to take that step out of his box. Relaxation therapy, biofeedback, hypnosis. When all else failed, they suggested antidepressants. But at this, his mother balked. Each doctor had their pet theory as to the source of Rafi's fears. Did his mother have her own phobia about busy streets? Perhaps as a toddler, Rafi had witnessed a horrific accident. Had he seen something appalling on television he associated with those streets? The streets formed a rectangle, so perhaps he had gotten trapped in a similar shape as an infant. Or was it just a bizarre dream that infected his consciousness? The fifth therapist Raphael had seen about the problem had named it. Well, we call it dromophobia, explained Dr. Cow, the terror of crossing streets. It's not every street, Raphael had replied. Not even every busy street. 6th and 3rd are no problem. Well, unfortunately, in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Psychiatric Disorders, it's the nearest category we've got. Perhaps in the next revision of the manual. The therapies continued into his early teens, at which point Rafi requested they stop trying, though 14 was the very age he should have most wanted to break free. Before he was 14, he wasn't all that different from the kids he went to school with. Half listened in class, skateboarded, played video games, hung about the park after school, and cautiously eyed the girls. But it was at that age his schoolmates started expanding their world, skating to the beach, camping, traveling to distant football games and amusement parks, exploring faraway malls, and chatting up faraway young women. In the very years life should have been expanding, his life was hemmed in, shrinking in a way. He woke every day angry, sometimes slamming his fist into his own head, knowing his problem was nowhere but within his skull. He drew into himself, stopped hanging out with friends after school. Why torture himself pretending he could break out? Why tease himself with stupid therapies? You're incurable, accept it. His mother didn't quite give up, but she didn't press further treatments on him. Her own advancing disease sapped her energy and reduced her mobility at an ever-increasing rate. He stayed home, grew closer to his mom, learned to paint from her, and took up the brushes and oils himself. Like one of those ancient Greek Stoics he learned about in school, he gradually accepted his limitations, or at least banned his brain from dwelling on it. Be happy! He had his skateboard, his computer, and his oils and brushes. He made the best of his spatial limitations. Like a tide-pooled fish, who knew every grain of sand and strand of kelp in its limited waters, Raphael knew every inch of his square mile. The dog that barked from the high window, the pothole unfilled for years, the remains of the old trolley depot, the white-haired man who sold the old and new vinyl, the stalwart bellman and non-stop two bags, the recyclable collector in perpetual motion, trash bags slung over his shoulders and filled to bursting. Within his rectangle, was he not rich with mall, park, and theater complex? Sidewalks and parking lots aplenty to skate? A job, shelter, sustenance? If wanderlust struck, he could set out into the world with a keystroke. He had everything he needed and wanted within reach. He whispered the line from Hamlet he had memorized in high school drama class. I could be bounded in a nutshell and count myself a king of infinite space, if not for bad dreams. That's Rafi.
That was great.
Raphael.
That was great, Alex.
Thank you.
That was a great reading, too. It's fun. It's exciting to hear the words from the author. So thank you for doing that for us.
You're quite welcome. You're quite welcome.
Excellent, excellent. So this whole idea, where did you come up with this idea? The whole idea of gathering the dead.
Okay. I correspond with a lot of people about writing and obviously other subjects.
Mm-hmm.
And there was someone I was trading chapters with on another novel.
Mm-hmm.
And we critique each other's chapters, and it was going along quite well. But this woman also happened to disclose to me that she was kind of battling a disease herself. That, and I didn't, we didn't get into it too much, but I just
Mhm.
knew that that was part of the information that I had about her.
Uh-huh.
Um, it was going along fine for a while, and then, you know, uh, I sent her something. I didn't get, a message back. And so I said, okay, she's probably busy for a couple of days. So then I tried again, a few days later and a few days after that. But, never did I receive a return of my messages.
Mhm.
So, I started wondering maybe, has something happened to her, but I checked on all of the social media that she was on.
Mhm.
And, it didn't look like um, anything
There's no big announcement or
drastic
anything.
had happened
Mhm.
in her life, right? No big
Mhm.
announcements.
Mhm.
So I kept on thinking about this. And I said, wait a second, but if something had happened to her, if she had succumbed to the disease, how, if in fact she was dead, all of this would still look about the same. She would still have her likes on Facebook and her bio
Yep.
would be up there, you know,
Mhm.
and emails would keep on going into her email
Mhm.
box, and people from the outside world would still treat her as if she's alive. So almost like for all intents and purposes, right, she is still alive.
Right.
And so that got me thinking about, yeah, I mean, how many people are on the internet now, even, all right, who simply have passed away and left all of what they had done on all the social media
Everywhere.
sites, everywhere on the internet, simply left the stuff there,
Mhm.
right? That kind of kicked off the idea, hey, yeah, that would be, that actually is the way it is. Now, what if someone decided to profit on that? And
Mhm.
I mean, that is basically the heart of the idea about Norval, that
Right.
someone recognizes that there's a ton of information on every individual
Mhm.
up there on the internet, and
Right.
it's going to be there forever. And now,
Mhm.
if you can funnel all that information, into your own company and prevent
Mhm.
others from seeing it, then you've got a lock on providing this information to whoever wants to see it.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, it's a brilliant idea. I love it. And this is
yeah,
a near future techno thriller, right? And something like this happening is very realistic to me. I can 100% see this happening in not too far the distant future. So it's really really well done, and I cannot wait for readers to get a hold of it. So let's see, your release date is Tuesday, October
okay.
11th. So we are excited. You will be back on here. We'll do a big cover reveal. We'll give away some signed copies. So hopefully we'll see all y'all back here and bring some friends and let's share the love. And thank you very much. And we'll see you soon. You have any final words, Alex?
No, that's really it. I hope you, and I'm speaking to whoever is out there listening,
The big you. That's right.
will enjoy the book of that. I think it's a fun ride,
Oh yeah.
and it should hold your attention. And I'd love to hear some more feedback from anyone who reads the book of that. So I look forward to that.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next
Thank
time.
you very much. I enjoyed this. All right, and I'll see you guys later. And let's hope the fires at Yosemite go out.
Yes, please go out.